Hi everyone, I'm Cassandra Finch and I am the owner of Phoenix School of Alignment. So you can check out my website at phoenixschoolofalignment.com. And under the resource tab, you'll be able to find the PDF to actually go along with this technique. So this is a powerful brain balancing technique called Cortices. So when you go to the resources section, look for Cortices and you will find the PDF. I want you to be able to find that so you can download it, so you can print it, keep it with you. Do this every single day. Cortices, what I would suggest for you is that when you finally learn this is to do this at least once a day for a month and really check into your physical, emotional, mental state of being and to start tracking over the weeks of using it, how you're starting to feel. What difference is it making for you? And just remember, you can do this more than once a day. You could do this 2 to 3 times a day. And when you really do learn it, it's only going to take you about a minute to do. It's not going to take your entire day, but if you want to take it a little bit slower, it could take up to 3 minutes. And that's totally up to you. So what I like to bring and to share are very safe, simple, and effective techniques that you can easily put into your day-to-day that isn't going to overwhelm or stress you out, because we already have too much of that, and this is supposed to do the opposite of that, okay? So without further ado, the Cortices technique, the theory behind Cortices is that all symptoms, all conditions, all diseases are reflected in the brain at some level. So the theory postulates that everything problematic with the body is reflected in the brain as faulty activity known as cold spots. Infrared photography have actually showed those cold spots have diminished blood supply or cellular activity in both the hemispheres. So with Cortices, it addresses the entire body-mind complex when doing this, when balancing the brain. And regardless of the emotional and physical imbalances that are present, it can still work with balancing everything. So this is not a panacea, but this is something that really does help with so many different things in the body that is going on. So the consciousness theory around Cortices is that all of our beliefs are stored in the brain. They act like a filter that create our current state of health. So this helps release all those beliefs that you might be holding on to, which is why when you do Cortices, sometimes you might feel a little bit emotional sometimes, but overall, you're going to feel clear, especially if you deal with brain fog or anything to that nature. So with Cortices, improvements in the physical and mental health when the cold spots have been restored actually happen through this technique. They have seen that happen. There's been many studies done, and you can find that out at thebodytalksystem.com if you want to read more and just type in Cortices in the search bar. You can see all the different things that have happened with Cortices. And one of my favorite stories about Cortices is that when this was applied to coma patients, I think it was 9 out of 10 actually came out of coma, which is pretty impressive. So the clearer the brain, the healthier the body. So this is essentially what Cortices does. It helps diminish those cold spots. It helps restore that cellular activity to the brain. It helps release belief systems, and it helps clear up the brain so that the physical body can function better. So without further ado here, we're going to go into the actual technique, and it's quite simple, but don't be upset if it takes you a little bit to catch on. There's been many times where I've had to rewatch videos in the beginning to make sure that I was getting it right. So the thing is, everyone's head size is going to be different. There is no specific set of hand placements, but just follow along, because what we're going to be doing is taking one hand, making sure that it's flat like this, and then you're going to place it on the back of the head, so at the top of the neck, and right where the first lobe, the occipital lobe, actually is. So I'll just turn around so you can see that. And you're going to have one hand just covering that. The other hand, what you're going to do is just very lightly tap, making sure that the hand is covering both hemispheres. Just lightly tap as you breathe. And then you're going to switch to the sternum. And then you're going to tap on your navel, also known as the belly button, for another breath. So my rule of thumb is one breath for the head, one breath for the sternum, one breath, for the navel, and you're going to be tapping that entire time. The reason why is because when we tap on the head, we're getting the brain to acknowledge that changes need to occur. When we tap on the sternum, we're getting the heart to store those changes. And then when we tap on the navel, that is known as the third brain, that's where we integrate all of those changes so that we don't revert into past patterns. Now, when we've done that, what I like to do is kind of mark off with one hand where my other hand was. So I don't know if you can see that properly, but then move the other hand up, a hand position. And then you're going to do the same thing, just taking that hand, taking some nice deep breaths, just slow and controlled. Inhale, exhale, switching to the navel, and then move your hand position up one, making sure that you're covering both hemispheres as you tap. And just remember, you can tap on top of the hand too when you get there. And if you need to do a couple more hand positions than me, just know that that's okay too. I have a small head. Then I move up another hand position here. Then I tap again. And then the hand goes over the forehead, same tapping. And it's okay if you only do 2 breaths on each hand position. And then once you're done the forehead, there's 2 variations how you can finish this. So one, taking both hands, placing to the side of the head, and just taking some nice deep breaths here. Take a couple nice deep breaths. You can just focus on that here. And then you can release both hands and then you can tap. The other variation would be, again, take both hands, place it to the side of the head, and then release one hand and do the tapping. And this is my personal preference. There's no right or wrong. It's just preference. And then switch. And then you can release the other hand, and there you go. You are done. So within a couple of minutes, you can actually balance the brain, become more clear, and over time, start to realize how that's affecting your whole body. So like I mentioned before you start doing cortices, just take a note, your physical health, mental health, emotional health, even how you're feeling spiritually, even if you're inclined. Make a note, do a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst. 10 being the worst, 1 being the best, however it works for you. And then after a week, check in, do a little assessment, and another week, do another assessment. And at the end of 4 weeks, go back and have a look at, okay, at the end of this month, this is how I feel. This is how I started at the beginning of the month. Usually when things are no longer a problem, we forget that they ever were. So it's really good to keep track of your health that way so that you can see what the progress is. And I would love for you to put in the comments below how you're feeling, especially after the 30 days, but even after a week. Let me know in the comments how you're feeling after doing this technique. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out anytime. Thank you.